February 3rd, 1995, my only brother and I engaged in a deep sibling phone conversation. Not realizing it will be our last conversation, we talked about many things, but I'll never forget the bomb he dropped on me. He told me what he was going to do and why, but so deep in survival mode myself, I couldn't hear or see or understand what he was saying. Nonetheless, I decided that I was obligated as the oldest sibling to pour into him my 16-year-old wisdom and the church sayings I picked up along the way. Things like, just pray about it. You know, God will never put more on you than you can bear. Or if you do that, you know you're going to hell. A week later, he did it. He really did. He hung himself. The sight of my brother's, my only brother's lifeless body with tubes running in, out, and around him. And with all the strength in my soul, I crawled to him crying and praying and begging, JR, please get out. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't understand. I'm sorry I couldn't be there for you. I too was fighting for the love. I too was fighting for the acceptance, and I couldn't hear you, and I'm sorry. After his death, my sister and I were left to our own devices to figure out what was going on, to shift through the pain, the hurt, the shame, and anger of losing our only brother. While the adults shifted, hid, and pointed blame, they forgot that we were still there. We needed them and they forgot us. The other children, his sisters, the left behind, feeling alone, confused, and frustrated, I blame myself for what happened. And for the next 24 years, I lived with the guilt of my only brother's suicide. It tormented me daily. At a pivotal and crucial time in my life, I had no one to remind me of my worth. So I got deeper involved in church, usher boards, choirs, revivals, you name it, I got involved. I would be there 7 days a week whenever I could. My church was my family. My church was where I received love. My church was where I felt the somethings I silently begged and craved and prayed for. The somethings like love, hope, and acceptance. My church was my haven until it was no longer my haven. See, a little over a year after my only brother's death, I, the eldest granddaughter of the late great Baptist pastor, Reverend Dr. Nathaniel Higgs, found herself pregnant at the age of 18. Eventually, a few members of my church would stop talking to me. The love, hugs, and kisses turned into stares, turned up noses, and gossip, even from some blood relatives. That old familiar feeling of loneliness, abandonment, and rejection now accompanied me into my once beloved haven. However, the birth of my son, my precious Elijah, forced my heart to experience real, unconditional love for the very first time. And for 2 years, it was he and I against the world. Then, then I met the man who would be my ex-husband. He was nice, sweet, and loved me dearly. But when you can't recognize the love in yourself, how are you going to recognize the love that someone else is trying to give? I liked him, and although I didn't and couldn't love him back, I married him anyway. Eventually, I resented him for winning the love and acceptance that I craved from my own family. Anger and resentment drove me to seek attention elsewhere. Happy hours and night spots are where I got all the acceptance and attention I craved, and I loved it. Eventually, I met someone I thought I could trust, tell my story, feel accepted, be seen. He saw me all right. He saw what he wanted. And after a few short weeks of our initial meeting, he took it. Right there in the basement of his homeboy's house, he raped me. I felt disgusting, embarrassed, but mostly confused. I mean, I knew the guy, so is it still rape? Or what if I just sat there too embarrassed, too shocked, too confused, too scared to fight back? Or what if at the end I pretended to like it just so he could finish his business? I mean, I put myself in that situation, so it's my fault, huh? Either way, I never reported it and silently carried that burden for many months. Eventually, I decided to take my power back. If I couldn't be seen or accepted the way I wanted, I was going to use what I got to get what I wanted. In my head, I screamed out, "You hear that, man? Two can play that game." Shortly followed were a decade of affairs that ended my marriage. I didn't care. In my mind, I was taking my power back and liberating myself of all the useless feelings attached to sex. When I wanted it, I got it. Period. Soon, life became one long, torturous roller coaster ride of challenges and emotions that I was forced to endure. Slow climbs of elation turned to fast plummets into depression, with rapid turns of anger flowing into loops of frustration and disappointment. The confusion was real, and to end it all, I too decided that I would bless the world with the gift of goodbye. Eventually, I too would try to hang myself. Honestly, I didn't want to die. I just wanted off the roller coaster ride. I wanted to instead cruise on love, hope, and acceptance. I didn't want to die. I wanted to be rescued. After my then husband caught me trying to end my life, I spent 2 weeks in a psychiatric hospital. While there, I finally found the name to my confusion, pain, anger. Bipolar 2. I was happy. I felt rescued. Finally, a name to what was going on. But sadly, that didn't last too long because while they're minding my business, a nurse, a sister, comes next to me, sits down with her condescending glasses and short self and says, "There's nothing wrong with you. We don't do that. We don't act like that. We're Black women. We're too strong for that." Maybe she's right. I mean, Black women are strong, powerful beings. Who has time for this crap? And just like that, I ended back on the roller coaster ride. This time, the ride took me through 6 more hospital stays, a video of me losing my mind going viral, an appearance on the nightly news as this crazy Black teacher going off on some kid, and finally a divorce. Then, as if the roller coaster ride wasn't enough, life kept punching me at every single turn. I got so low that at one point I gave my body to man after man just to feel something other than the pain. Then one day, during my last hospital stay, the therapist in a very calm voice says, "No one can fight harder for your life than you. Fight." That's all I've been doing is fighting. I'm tired of fighting. I just want to live. I just want to live. Well, since I'm too stubborn to die, I guess in order to live, fighting back is what I had to do. And so I fought. My fight started with me taking my medication regularly, keeping my weekly appointments with my therapist, maintaining healthy routines, and strengthening my prayer life and personal relationship with God. Eventually, I began sharing my story of resiliency, speak at multiple engagements, receive rewards, start a nonprofit, start a mentoring program, but I still felt kind of off. Still slightly ashamed of my diagnosis, I tried to prove to the world that I was worth something. No matter how hard I fought, I still felt alone, rejected, not valued, and often misunderstood. Then, early last year, while in a deep sleep, my granddad, my hero, the late great Baptist pastor, Dr. Reverend Nathaniel Higgs, visited me in my dream. He said, "Just because they can't see it, don't you forget how valuable you are." I woke up that morning and I realized I got this fight thing all wrong. See, I was fighting for you to love me. I was fighting for you to accept me. I was fighting for you to understand me. I was fighting for you to see me and not the diagnosis. I was fighting to win you. To see, not this time. This time, I'm fighting to win me. This time, I'm fighting because I know my worth. I know my value. I know who I am and who I belong to. See, I was bought with a price. And even if you can't see it, this girl is on fire.